Hey y'all, this is Treacherous Slayer coming at y'all with another video, and before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Now today y'all, we're getting into Dexter Resurrection, episode 3, Backseat Driver. Now y'all, this episode was definitely one of my faves so far off this premiere. The episode starts off with Ginger Snap, posing as a your car driver to, get the feel for it, so when he finally captures Red, which is the wannabe dark passenger. Unfortunately, the episode doesn't start with him targeting Red, but he just has this regular guy who's on his way to a date and trying to make small talk, and Ginger Snap just not reading the mood at all. Like, the dude asks for water, he's like, do you want me to start at the bodega? He's like, dude, I'm already late, and he was like, yeah, okay, good luck in the day, and dude just hurry up and left. So obviously, Ginger Snap gets home and realizes he has 3 out of 5 stars. He was like, to him, that's not bad, but then he gets another notification saying he has a low driver rating, and Blessing sees him on their Ring camera, and he's asking him, Dexter, what's wrong? And he said, I just got a low driver rating. He was like, what'd you get? 4.2 stars. And he was like, 4.2. So Blessing makes a promise to him that he's gonna make sure he doesn't drop below 4.2 or he will get deleted and no longer be eligible to become a your car driver. So that was a funny dynamic, even though I know just not gonna really care. He's just using this as an alias. He then gets a call from the veterinary clinic under the alias Dr. Bateman, and orders obviously some Etterfiend. So when he captures Red, that's his go-to chemical choice. So yeah, he orders that, and then we see Harrison getting questioned by Detective Claude, and we know she ain't letting her foot off his neck, and she's just pestering him with questions like, the typical, this ain't adding up, where were you, and do you have any alibis, that sort of thing. He's still being jittery and everything. I'm like, yeah, Harrison, you need to work on your confidence a little bit more, because I'm looking like, sir, you need to get it together. You're Ginger Snap's son. Like, let's be serious. Stop acting all ginger. I'm like, why is he being so nervous? Like, sir, you already done did it. Like, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Like, sir, get it together. So she says, okay, I'm still gonna keep my eye on you, and we're still gonna talk later, because he's not being convincing enough. And then we jump back to Ginger Snap at Blessing's house, having dinner with the fam. And they're just finished up their prayer and started eating. And then Constance, who's Blessing's wife, she killed me in the scene. Y'all, why the hell? She was like, so Dexter, how was Miami? And then we hear his inner monologue. How the hell does she know I was from Miami? He was like, how did you know that? She was like, well, it's protocol that I do background checks on all my tenants, so. He was like, oh, well, yeah, I came from Miami because I lost some people close to me and I just wanted a fresh start. So she leaves it alone after that, and obviously it sounds like a very amicable excuse to move to New York City. And the whole topic of the conversation is Joy moving to California because her fiance wants to attend Berkeley. And he's just being, that overbearing father, and it kind of makes, Ginger Snap a little salty, like feeling like he's an inadequate father to Harrison. I feel like he should have been more affectionate towards Harrison. Maybe Harrison wouldn't be, the nervous wreck that he is now. So he hurries and makes the excuse to leave the dinner, and before he leaves, he asks Constance, can he get a copy of his background check? And she gives him some tips like, oh yeah, this only costs $75 and then you can run a background check on anyone, basically. So he has the smart idea to run a background check on Ronald Schmidt, which is the dark passenger. So luckily he does it and finds his information, finds out where he lives, and he was, like he said, you can hide your face from cameras, but you can't hide from the bank. So I was like, true that. So he's still having hallucinations of Harry, talking about how Harry used to train him in these things to find little clues of where killers will hide their trophies. So he finds it pretty quick, which is above the spot in the roof where Charlie found in the first episode. So he finds his driver's license and the weapon of choice. Then he takes a little breather and reminisces on how he used to have a place similar to Ronald's, and Harry gives him that reality check, like, yeah, but things are different now. You got a son that you need to look after, which he does, because if he doesn't make some kind of contact, I genuinely feel like Harrison's gonna crash out. Like, he's definitely gonna have a mental breakdown. So I feel like it will hopefully put him at ease knowing that Dexter is alive. And then we also jump to a scene where Batista's still not letting up, because unlucky for Ginger Snap, one of the rookie cops from Dexter New Blood calls Batista and lets him know that Dexter had his truck impounded in New York City, and he just told him, okay, give me the name and address of Dexter. I'm like, there you go. Not learning. I'm like, he trying to end up like LaGuerta, like in 0.25 seconds. I'm like, Batista, let it go, sir. You're not gonna catch him. Oh my gosh. Blessing also gives him tips on how to satisfy riders in his year car. He gives him a little basket filled with like water, snacks, condoms, you know, the usual that people might need on a ride. So he also learns a little tip about keeping rats out of the gutters and stuff at his new place, and he knows a metal tape that will come in handy later in the episode for him to use. Then we also see Detective Claude still not letting up on the case, obviously, which she can't since she has to solve the murder, and she goes into her detective mode, you know, listening to Staying Alive. And y'all, she pieces together the whole crime scene, and like, oh my gosh, I was so caught off guard. Like, I'm like, she is definitely a force to be reckoned with. I said we definitely got to keep an eye on her, and she got to be extra careful, especially with Ginger Snap in town. So I'm like, damn girl, okay, you chill. She is a really good detective. Can't really like knock it though. She did a pretty good job cracking everything, and she literally was right on the money with everything. She went to the elevator, went to the kitchen where Harrison chopped up the repeat offender, and learned that the garbage entry and exit is open 24/7, so there's not really monitored security at that point. So, and her partner was like, okay, so the person could have came in then. So yeah, Harrison, it's not really looking too good for Harrison if he don't get it together. We also see Joy giving Ginger Snap acupuncture treatment, since Blessing recommended Dexter to get one, since we know Dexter's still recovering from his 10-week coma. And him and Joy chit-chat about fatherhood and everything, how her father is too afraid to let her go and everything, and, you know, expand her horizons. And she wants him to know, like, just because she's moving across the country doesn't mean she's going to miss him any less. And that gives Ginger Snap an epiphany, meaning, like, regardless of the situation, I still have to be in my son's life. So I was like, yeah, you better step on it, because Harrison's definitely about to crash out if you don't make contact soon. And he almost did make contact, but he seen Harrison have a little date with Elsa. And Elsa, who is Harrison's coworker / I think soon-to-be girlfriend, because I definitely get some chemistry vibes from them too. Because they also go to Elsa's apartment, and he asks her about Dante's father, who is Elsa's son. And she said, oh, well, she only known him for one night. I'm like, damn, not him just ditching them like that. That's just horrible. But she said she loves him, and she's very grateful that he's in her life, and she's his little monster. And that makes Harrison a little quiet and reclusive, since he's still grieving the loss of his father. So I wonder how that's gonna go. I wonder how they're gonna like play that out. Y'all comment below and let me know. Do y'all think that Ginger Snap is gonna make contact with Harrison? Like, will he even have a choice? Because I really think something's major is gonna go down to the point he won't have a choice but to contact Harrison and let Harrison know that he's alive and well. We then see Charlie, who is Leon's right-hand woman, preparing the dinner for the serial killer Suicide Squad, and the waitress is just asking, like, okay, this must be some very, you know, important people, obviously, hence VIP, to order all these specific things. Like she said, And she basically, I love her character so much. She was like, you mind a business that pays you, okay? Discretion is key to, this dinner, and you better keep your mouth shut or something will be happening to you in so many words. I'm like, girl, don't talk too much now. Like, you finna be up in the hell house, girl, because I'm like, all them killers that I see, I'm like, yeah, girl, you better walk on like eggshells. Hell, she might end up still being a target, shit, that's pretty fucked up, though. I'm like, damn. She don't even know she in the lion's den, y'all. Then we see Claude and her partner interrogating Harrison once again, like, okay, why you didn't get back to us with your one night stand? Elsa was like, oh, hell no, okay, let me go, I gotta go back to work, let me go clock in. She was like, mind my business. And Detective Claude just on a down to detail, like, I think you defended Cherry from getting attacked and you acting in self-defense. So, like, why just you don't come clean and confess? I was so pissed at Harrison because I thought he was really finna confess to everything, but obviously Ginger Snap raised him to think on his feet quick. So this man says he has a confession, and they think they finna get a whole murder confession. He just confesses that he's been squatting in a hotel basically, and he doesn't have no authority figure to look after him, and that's why he was caught not leaving the premises, because he's been living in vacant rooms this whole time and fending for himself. So I guess that's enough to convince Detective Claude to back up a little bit, since she seems a bit sympathetic to the situation. But I don't really know how that's gonna really boil over well. But hopefully she does look into other suspects and get off his ass. So I don't know, because she's so meticulous. She got everything down to the T. I'm like, yeah, he gonna need Ginger Snap help like immediately. Then we see Batista ass at the bar, and this was definitely one of my favorite moments of the episode as well, when we get a throwback to the original cast from the original Dexter. We see Detective Quinn and Masuka goofy self. Like, that was so nice to see all three of them. So Batista's plan is obviously to retire, and then Quinn's like, ain't it a bit too early for you to retire? You still got some years on your old ass. I guess Quinn was like, oh yeah, some of it. Masuka was like, don't tell me you trying to start an OnlyFans. So I was like, Masuka is freaked out, but I'm not hating it. That was such a funny interaction. And he was like, no, like, he wants to take advantage of his pension plan and, just enjoy life. But he does say he is very elusive and says he has some unfinished business to deal with, and raises Detective Quinn's ear like, okay, what the hell business you got to deal with that we can handle together? And he like, okay, you don't worry about that until it's finished. I'm like, there you go. Still trying to pursue Ginger Snap. I'm like, that's not gonna end well. I can already see that's not gonna end well. Especially for his sake. I'm like, so look, what if I tell you Ginger Snap is a Bay Harbor butcher and you still pursuing this man? As experienced as Ginger Snap is, you're still pursuing him. I'm like, it's the illogical thinking for me. I'm like, okay, go ahead and knock yourself out literally. Because I don't see it ending well for Batista. So what y'all think? Y'all let me know. If Ginger Snap's going to spare him, or will he have to pull a worth on him? Especially if he comes in between him and Harrison, too. I don't think that's going to end well. They take some shots from Don Julio, enjoy the rest of the night. And we finally get towards the end of the episode where we see Ginger Snap preparing to lure Red into the trap, who is the dark passenger, and he was loading up his Etterfiend shot, and why the hell this random woman just smacks his passenger window, makes him drop his damn needle between the seat, and right as he's digging for the needle, that's when Red comes. He's like, you're going to JFK? I'm like, okay. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, not dropping the needle. I was like, how you drop the needle? But obviously because her impulsive ass just smacked through a car window. I'm like, girl, no etiquette decorum. So they're driving. He was like, obviously, Red was like, take a risk. And Ginger Snap just kept trying to reason and make conversation. Like, my friend said this is a faster way, and I take this route plenty of times. And then he finally makes a move. I was like, well, that was quick. So I guess I could rule out the whole xenophobe motive of him, because it seems like he doesn't discriminate like I thought he did. I thought he, discriminated specifically against chocolate drivers, if you get my drift. So I was like, okay, he's not. I was like, okay. Because he did hurry up and attack Ginger Snap. He was like, okay, you keep your hands on the wheel and do as I say, you know. Don't make any sudden moves, you know, the usual. And gets into his killer mode and his killer dialogue saying, like, who's gonna miss you when you're gone and everything. My favorite line was when he was like, are you afraid to die? Dexter was like, this won't be the first time. And he was like, oh great, he's not, it's a joke. So he was like, actually I'm really scared. It gave, oh, I'm shivering in my boots, you know. It gave there very much that. I was like, I am so done. And they continue as Ginger Snap eases the etterfine needle with his foot since it rolled down by the brake, and luckily they reached the parking spot where Red told him to park. He was distracting him with good rhetorical questions like, well, obviously, my son and I don't really have a good relationship like that. I not really being my true self. And he's like, and this is confusing Red, like, what the hell is he talking? He's usually used to his victims begging and pleading for their life and let them go back to their family safe and sound. And Ginger Snap finally gets a hold of the etterfine, grabs him, and says, I don't like anyone stealing my name, and stabs him with the etterfine needle. And he was like, wait, what the hell? And then passes out, obviously. So I was like, good, that was quick. And then luckily, because I was wondering how his neck wasn't getting cut, so he used that metal tape that Blessing introduced him to keep the rats out of the gutters, which was smart, so his neck won't get cut. I was like, okay, look, that's why I was like, you can't double cross Dexter, and that's a dangerous feat trying to go up against Dexter. I swear, like, this man always 10 steps ahead. I was like, nobody messing with Ginger Snap in that avenue. So he goes to Red's place and prepares the kill table. Gets everything. He just makes all these comments like, you get everything off the internet now. He was like so convenient. I was like, I fucking love him, y'all. It's so funny. And he uses the smelling salts to wake him up, and his trophies displayed on some plastic, and Red's all confused, like, okay, who are you? What are you doing? And he mistakes him for Leon, who was the head of the whole of the serial killer Suicide Squad. So, and this catches Ginger Snap by surprise, like, no, I'm not him. I don't know who the hell you're talking about. He was like, look, because Red was pleading, like, look, you can have the money and everything. I don't care that you even see my trophies and stuff. Like, you can take the money. I don't even want it, basically, because obviously he's at a good tech company. He's definitely not hurt for money, that's for sure. But he said, nah, I'm here because you've been bopping and flopping innocent people. And people who had families to go back home to, and you just destroyed some families. And then we finally hear Red's motive for all of it. He was like, please, they're not innocent. So apparently his father, like, invested in a taxi company, and with the rise of Uber, Lyft, and your car, I guess it diminished the value of taxis and caused him to go bankrupt in a sense, and he, I guess, was drove insane and tossed himself off a bridge, and his head was severed. So I don't know if that meant someone from the rival companies, like, took him out. I guess that's what he thought in his demented way of thinking. I'm pretty sure that's where he was coming from. And Ginger Snap snaps on, like, dumbass, that got nothing to do with the people you've been bopping and flopping. Like, I'm like, right, you could have targeted specific ones that was actually tied to your father's case, dumbass. Like, okay. I guess that makes sense, but no, it doesn't at all. Like, I'm like, yeah. But he just gives him that last word, like, yeah, there's only room for one dark passenger, and that's me. And then he's like, wait, and obviously, you know, Ginger Snap bops and flops him, and, you know, takes a breath of relief. And he realizes Red wasn't bluffing when he goes over to Red's backpack and sees the Leon's invitation, which is like this transparent sheet and giving directions of when and where to meet for the serial killer luncheon. So he goes over to, you know, double check if him and Red have similarities so he could pose as Red, since obviously the route they're going with is Ginger Snap's going to be posing as a dark passenger just to see what's going on with the serial killer cult, which is actually a pretty good idea. So the Bay Harbor Butcher isn't really, true identity isn't exposed. So that was a nice plot twist I wasn't expecting to see coming. As he's disposing, you know, Red's body, we see Elsa, you know, scolding Harrison like, look, the cops was all on my ass, like, I basically looked out for you and I don't want to be no bullshit, so you better keep your head on the swivel. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to, you know, get you involved in everything. She's like, it's fine or whatever, walks away. And she's like, you owe me though. So I'm like, it's gearing towards like they're definitely going to end up together, and Harrison just needs to get his head on straight and be more confident and stop being all jittery all the damn time, because it's selling around like, boy, get it together. And Ginger Snap finishes up disposing Red's body, but then he reads the letter once again, and he almost burned it to a crisp when he realized he needed Red's thumbprint, so he just grabs one of Red's severed arms and cuts off one of his thumbs and, you know, takes that. So obviously we know what he's gonna do with that. And that's how Backseat Driver ends. And I would say this episode was definitely a 10 out of 10. Storyline was top tier. I'm just curious to see the fates of certain characters, like, because they don't even realize Ginger Snap is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, once he goes to that serial killer luncheon, like, he's gonna see so many potential victims of his. Like, they don't even know like what danger they're in. Like, that's gonna be insane when he steps up in there. And I'm interested to see Batista's fate too, because from what I've seen in the trailer, he does end up confronting Harrison too. Since it kind of seems like Detective Claude does leave Harrison alone. Hopefully. I don't know. So much could go down. I'm just interested in how long he's going to keep this Dark Passenger alias up too. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions, and I cannot wait for episode 4, y'all. And if y'all ain't watching Dexter Resurrection, go check it out on Paramount Plus right now, or mainly on Showtime. And I'm Treacherous Slayer, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.